Math page. In today's lesson, I will discuss with you factorization by grouping. So how do we go about this? Before we begin with our first example, you can go through my previous videos and you watch a video on how to factorize by common factors approach. So you have to watch that video before you come to this one because it's a continuation of that particular video. So go to my videos and watch that video. Okay, so let's get started here. How do we factorize by grouping? So let's see our first expression, and that is going to be x squared, x squared minus ax plus bx minus ab. This, a typical example or expression that we can use this approach or this method to do. So to factorize by this method, you have to make sure we have four terms. So for factorization by grouping, the terms should be four. So as you can see, we have four terms here. One, two, three, four. So we have four terms here, right? So make sure we have four terms before we can use this particular approach or method. And how do we go about it? So after getting your four terms like I've just notified, we just group the terms into two. That is why we call it factorization by grouping. So you have to group the terms into two and we continue from there. So now let's group. So I'm going to get s squared minus ax in one bracket. Don't forget to bring this sign, that is the addition sign here, plus. So I'll group the next two terms in one bracket, and that is going to be bx minus ab, in one bracket. So at this point, this is actually, two terms in each bracket. So you can use the common factors approach. That is why I'm saying that you can watch that video to know how to factorize, using the common factors approach. So that's what I'm going to do here. So we have x squared minus ax in this bracket. What's the common factor? So straight for is going to be x, x goes into x squared, x times, the sign minus should be here. And x goes into ax, a times, x times x should give you x squared, and x times, negative a should give you negative ax. So that means we're on the right path, right? Okay, let's come to the next bracket. That is bx minus ab. But don't forget about the sign. The sign is very, very important. So it should be here. Now in this bracket, we have bx minus ab. The common factor obviously is going to be, b, is going to be b. So b out. So b goes into bx, x times, minus b goes into ab, a times. So we have this expression. Let's observe something here. So we can see that in the brackets, in the two brackets here, we are getting the same expression, that is x minus a and that of x minus a in this one too. So whenever you see something like that, it means we are actually on the right path. We are getting the thing correct, all right? So this is what we're going to do. After getting those terms in a bracket being equal, we just take the coefficients here. This x and that of b, we just group them in one bracket. So we're going to get x plus b, plus because of this sign, so they should be kept in one bracket or parentheses. Then we come to the next two guys. They are the same, x minus a, x minus a. So we just take one of them, x minus a, and then we are done. So you see, it's not something difficult. So we just have to group them into two groups, and then we factorize each group, and then this is what we get. Make sure, the terms in the bracket are the same. And if that happens, then it means you're on the right path. So let's take our next expression. This is very easy, right? Let's take our next expression. So our next expression is going to be, let me write that one here. I've changed my ink. I want to use, red ink for this one. Okay, so we have 3p squared plus 2pq minus 12pr minus 8qr. How do we go about this one? This one too, the expressions, the terms are four. So we can group them into two like we just did. So you're going to get, 3p squared plus 2p q in one bracket. And you come to the next one. So the minus sign should come here. Then we have 12pr. Here you have to be very careful. Let's see something. This sign, as soon as we bring the bracket here, this minus sign here is going to affect this sign. This sign. So it's going to be plus. Negative times negative is going to be positive. So we have to reverse the sign here, and then this is what we get. So we have 8. Sorry, I think I've got to do it well. So we're going to get 8qr. So always take notice of that. All right, so let's factorize each bracket using the common factors approach. So we have 3p squared plus 2pq. So what's going to be the common factor? For the numbers, we don't have any common factor. Let's come to the variables, p squared, pq. So we're going to take p, the common factor, right? So we have 3p going into 3p squared is going to be 3p plus p goes into this one, 2q. If you want to know that you're correct, just try to multiply this guy by this, and you have to get the same expression here. So if that happens, it means you're on the right path. So we are done with the first part of of the expression. Let's come to the second part. Remember, we have our minus sign here. So in this case, we have 12pr plus 8qr. 12 and 8, any common factor? That's going to be 4, right? So we have 4. Let's come to the variables. P, R, Q, R. The common factor is going to be R, obviously. So 4 goes into 12 three times. And then R will be cancelled. So we will left with P. So you have 3P. And then plus 4R goes into the whole of this, 2Q. You know the reason? 4 goes into 8 two times. This R goes into R1. So it will be left with only Q. So that's why we have this. And you see, the guys in the brackets are the same. 3p plus 2q, 3p plus 2q. That means you are correct. So let's write our final answer. So that's going to be, we just take the ones outside, the coefficient. So you're going to get p, minus 4r in one bracket. And then we take one of these guys, these same guys, right? So we have 3p plus 2q. And that is it. So we are done with this expression. This is going to be our next example. We have the expression is going to be MP of MP plus NP minus MT minus NT. So how do we factorize? So like we did in the previous one, we just have to, group them into two, and then we factorize each bracket. So that's going to be like this. So I have to group the first two terms in one bracket, and that is going to be bracket of MP plus NP, minus, this guy, this minus. So we have it here, and that is going to be, minus MT, since we've introduced the bracket here, the sign here should be reversed. So that's going to be plus NT. Always check this thing, this thing. If you're not careful, you'll forget, and it's going to be a problem. So always try and reverse the sign. Okay, so at this moment, we have to factorize each bracket. We have MP and P. The common factor is going to be P. So we have M plus N. We come to this one, MT and T. That's going to be the common factor. That's going to be T, right? So we have M plus N. How are we getting this one? T goes into MTM, and T goes into NTN. So you can see that the guys in the bracket are the same. And that will suggest to us that we are on the right path. So now I have to take the coefficient, you know, I have to put them in one bracket, and that's going to be p minus t, that is p minus t. And the same guys, m plus n in another bracket. So you have m plus n. So that is the final expression. So we have been able to factorize this particular expression. Okay. All right. So let's take our next expression. Let's take our next expression. So that is it. It's not difficult. That is it. Let's take our next expression. Okay. So we have 14m squared plus nz minus 2mz minus 7mn. Another, intriguing expression. Let's see how we can factorize this one. But this expression, um, this expression, there is something that I want you to observe. So let's do it. I'm going to group the first two like we have been doing the previous ones. So that's going to be 14m squared plus nz. That is in one bracket. We come to the next one. We have minus bracket of 2mz. And what happens to this sign? That's going to be positive, right? So plus 7mn. So how do? We factorize, right? You know, in this bracket, we don't have any common factor. 14m squared plus nz, there is no common factor. So what happens? That means we have to rearrange because we are not getting a common factor in this expression. So it means you are wrong. You got to do everything afresh. Oh yeah. So whenever you get something like that, you have to, rearrange it and then you get a common factor. That is how it should be done. So I've got to collect this stuff and then we're going to do it again. We have to rearrange so that we get a common factor. Let's regroup this thing. So that's going to be like this. We have 14 m squared. Let me, group these two guys. And then that of, I didn't get my direction well. So I'm going to group 14m squared and negative 2mz. And I want to group these two guys too. So let's see what's going to happen. Maybe this time it will work for us. So let's see what's going to happen. So we have 14m squared, minus 2mz plus nz minus 7mn. So what's going to happen? So I have to group my first two terms, and that's going to be 14m squared minus 2mz, and then plus bracket of nz minus 7mn. So this is what we have, right? Quite interesting. So you can see that in this bracket, that at least we have a common factor. In this one too, we have a common factor. Do you have a common factor in that one? Oh yeah, we have n here and that of n. So let's do something. Let's see what's going to happen. So we have 14 and that of 2. So what's going to be the highest common factor of 14 and 2? That's going to be 2, right? So 2 is going to be here. M squared m. So that's going to be m. Okay. So 2 goes into 14 7 times. M goes into m. So we have 2 goes into 2, 1. M goes into m1. So it will be left with minus z. Let's come to our next, bracket. And z minus 7mn. N, those two guys are, they are common. So you can take n out. So you get 7 minus, z minus 7m. Wow, this is quite interesting. So are the terms in the bracket the same? This is 7m minus z, and this is z minus 7m. Are they the same? They are not the same. Subtraction is not commutative. So when you get something like, 2 minus 3, It's not the same as 3 minus 2, because 2 minus 3 is going to give us negative 1, and 3 minus 2 is going to give us 1. So that means they are not the same. And since the guys in the bracket are not the same, then it means something is wrong. So you got to do the arrangement well. So you have to clean all this stuff again. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So always, we're going to use the guys in the bracket as our yardstick. So when the guys in the bracket are the same, then it will mean that we're on the right path. So once they are not the same, something must be done. So I'm going to do a different. So I'm going to, change the arrangement so that we get it in a different way. So let's see. Let me just work it here. So the expression was 14 m squared plus nz minus 2 mz minus 7 mn. So in this one, this is why we did that. We couldn't get what we were expecting. It was 14 m squared minus 2 mz. So I'm going to change this one, the last two expressions. It was 7m minus z, and this one was z minus 7m. So I just have to change the positions of this and that, and it will be similar to this one. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So that's what I'm going to do here. Okay, so let me regroup it. So that's going to be 14 m squared, minus 2 mz. That expression still holds. So what I'm going to do is that, instead of writing nz first, like I did in this one, you see, I wrote nz first here. So in this case, I'm going to write negative 7n first, and that will help me get the same expression. So I'm going to get negative 7mn and then plus nz. So let's see what's going to happen. So the first two guys in bracket, that's going to be 14, that's going to be 14. This 14 is not clear. I've got to clear these guys. So you have 14 m squared minus 2 mz in one bracket, minus 7mn. So this sign should affect this one. So I'm going to get minus nz. So obviously the common factor is going to be 2m, like we did here. So you have 7m minus z. So that's going to be the same as this one. Okay, so let's come to this one. Minus 7mn and z. So the common factor is going to be n, right? So you have 7m minus z. I hope you are not confused here, because n goes into 7mn 7 times, 7m times, and n goes into nz z times. So we can see that at this point, those guys in the bracket are the same. 7m minus z, 7m minus z. So our final expression is going to be 2m minus n, 7m, minus z. And that's the final expression. Okay, so that is how we do it. So always make sure the guys in the bracket are the same, and then we can know that you're on the right path. That's very, very interesting. Let's take our last expression. It's also very interesting. Let's see how we can, go about it. Another interesting question. Let's see how we can go about it. So this is the last expression. This question is very, very interesting. All right, so we have bracket of m plus n times 2x minus y minus x times m plus n. So this is what we have. This is kind of, tricky, right? This is very, very tricky, because unlike the previous ones that, we were having 4 times, and then we just have to We just needed to regroup them and then, you know, we factorize. But this thing is not like that. You know, this is kind of different thing altogether. So how do we simplify this one? I'm going to use two different ways to do that. But the first method is going to be quite simpler, easier. Let's see something. This is m plus n. This is m plus n. So you can take just one of them. So that's going to be, m plus n. And it will be left with 2x minus y minus x. So I have to put them in bracket. So that's going to be 2x minus y minus x. Considering these two guys, they are like terms, so we can simplify. So you have m plus n multiplying 2x minus x, minus y. So this is what we have. And that will be simplified to m plus n times 2. I'm sorry. So 2x minus s is going to be x, right? So I don't have to write 2x again. So it's going to be x, minus y. And that's the final answer. Quite interesting, right? Okay. So I'm going to use a different way to simplify. I'm going to use a different way. So let's say I'm going to do it. So I have, okay, so I'm going to have something like m plus n times 2x minus y minus x into bracket m plus n. So what am I going to do here? So I'm just going to expand the bracket to see how best I can simplify or factorize this expression. So let me expand. This is multiplication of two binomials, so I can just multiply. M times 2x is going to be 2mx and m times y. So I've just multiplied this one by this, and then this y, this one by that, by the y. So m times negative y is going to be negative my. So let me come to the y. Sorry, the n rather. Yeah. So n times 2 is going to be positive 2nx. N times negative y is going to be negative ny. Okay. Alright, so the next one, let's come to the next bracket. Negative x times m is going to be negative mx. Negative x times n is going to be negative nx. I think you can group like terms. 2mx, negative mx, they are like terms. So I'm going to get 2mx minus mx. This and that, they are also like terms. So you have plus 2nx minus nx. These two guys can just be attached. So you have minus my, minus ny. So 2mx, let me shift it to this side. 2mx minus ms is going to be mx. So we have mx here. And 2nx minus n is going to be, plus nx. And we come to minus my minus ny. So at this point, you can see we have 4 terms here. So you can just group them. So this is a typical, method of grouping question. So let's group them. So we're going to get mx. I'm going to get mx plus nx in one bracket minus my. So since I've introduced the bracket, the minus sign is going to affect this one. So this is going to be plus ny. So this is what we have. Quite interesting, right? We have mx, nx, and the common factor is going to be x. So you have m plus n, because x goes into mxm and s goes into nxn, minus we have my and out of ny. So the common factor is going to be y. and y goes into mym. Y goes into nyn. So the guys in the bracket are the same. Very interesting, isn't it? So this is how it's going to be. So we have x minus y in one bracket times m plus n, and we are done. So we can see that the expressions are the same. Our final answers are the same. Look at this expression, and that is this one. They are the same. So we are correct.